Strap in, gearheads. Your ultimate pit stop, Piston Pundit, is here to rev up the story on how tariffs are rattling some of the biggest names in business. In 2025, the American corporate landscape is getting a turbocharged shakeup as trade tensions and fresh tariffs force major companies to rethink, reroute, and recalibrate their operations. From automotive titans to tech juggernauts, this wave of economic turmoil is no mere fender bender. It's a full-blown impact on supply chains, manufacturing strategies, and American jobs. Let's crack open the hood and see how 6 industry leaders are racing to adapt in this new era of global commerce. Number 6. E-commerce giants Shein and Temu navigate tariff challenges. Shein and Temu, Chinese e-commerce titans, have thrived on direct-to-consumer shipping from China, until a major policy shift hit the brakes. The U.S. government scrapped the de minimis exemption for packages under $800, imposing tariffs as high as 145% on every shipment. In response, Shein is cautioning customers about looming price hikes, while Temu is pivoting, relying on U.S.-based warehouses to sidestep import charges. Both have slashed their U.S. advertising budgets and paused new campaigns, signaling a pullback from the American market. The ripple effects reach far beyond these two. Smaller overseas brands like the UK's Space NK and Canada's Understance have already stopped U.S. deliveries entirely. This shakeup underscores the tough challenges e-commerce players face in this new tariff-driven landscape, scrambling to adapt logistics and keep their business models viable. For American shoppers, it means potential price hikes and fewer options at checkout. But Shein and Temu's recalibration is just one chapter in this bigger global realignment. Let's cruise on to see how the toy industry is shifting gears to cope. Number 5. MGA Entertainment's manufacturing migration. MGA Entertainment, the California-based powerhouse behind Bratz dolls and LOL Surprise toys, is ramping up its shift away from Chinese manufacturing. The company plans to relocate 40% of its production to India, Vietnam, and Indonesia within 6 months, quadrupling its current 10 to 15% relocation. This strategic maneuver is driven by the rising costs of importing toys from China due to the new tariffs. Considering Chinese factories currently produce about 77% of toys sold in the US, MGA's move highlights a broader industry push for supply chain diversification. Retail giants like Walmart and Target, who rely on MGA's lineup, may have to tweak their inventory strategies and rethink pricing models. For consumers, these changes could spell higher prices and fewer choices, particularly as holiday shopping seasons approach. MGA's pivot shows how swiftly companies are reworking global supply chains to stay competitive in today's trade-charged landscape. Before we rev further, do us a solid. Hit that like and subscribe button. It fuels the engine of Piston Pundit and helps us keep bringing you the freshest vehicle updates. Now, let's shift gears and see how the metals industry is navigating these rough roads. Number 4. Alcoa's aluminum road trip. Alcoa, the largest aluminum producer in the US, is overhauling its shipping strategy in response to new tariffs on Canadian metals. Instead of sending Canadian aluminum to the US, Alcoa is redirecting these shipments to Europe, where trade is more stable and predictable. To keep American clients supplied, Alcoa is exploring increased imports from its Australian sites, hoping these operations will be less tariff-sensitive. This shift underscores the challenges of staying competitive in a world of shifting trade policies and rising import costs. For consumers, these reroutes could mean steeper prices for aluminum-based goods, from household appliances to vehicles, as companies adjust to the added expense. The broader industrial sector is watching closely, as these moves could herald long-term changes in how and where critical materials are sourced in the evolving global supply chain. And speaking of iconic American brands facing the heat, let's see how Deere and Company is fine-tuning its playbook to keep those tractors rolling. Number 3. Deere and Company's strategic moves in the tariff storm. Deere and Company, a leading American manufacturer of agricultural and construction equipment, is grappling with major challenges due to the Trump administration's tariff policies. In 2025, the company expects more than $500 million in tariff-related costs, $100 million already paid, with another $400 million projected by October. To soften the blow, Deere is rolling out a multi-pronged strategy. It's reconfiguring its global production footprint to minimize exposure, raising prices 2 to 4% on upcoming models, and tapping into trade agreements like the USMCA for relief. Despite 80% of U.S. sales tied to domestic production, 60% of tariff costs stem from imported components sourced from the EU, Mexico, and China, highlighting the complex global supply chains behind every Deere machine. Deere's efforts show the broader impact of tariffs on manufacturers, the need for constant recalibration to stay competitive. Its pivot underscores the importance of agility and foresight in today's volatile global economy. With that green giant's pivot in mind, let's check out how a tech powerhouse is leveraging international partnerships to keep the innovation wheels spinning. Number 2. Apple's pivot to India's production fast lane. Apple, the undisputed king of the tech world, is shifting gears on a global scale. In April 2025, India took the crown as the top iPhone exporter to the US, with 3.3 million units shipped, a mind-boggling 76% surge over the previous year. That's no small tweak. It's a fundamental realignment of Apple's manufacturing heartland. Why the big move? The looming threat of a 25% tariff on iPhones made outside the US lit a fire under Apple's feet. While bringing manufacturing stateside would have been too costly, moving to India proved the smarter play. Apple's even backing this shift with serious cash. Foxconn's new $1.5 billion facility in Bengaluru is set to create 50,000 jobs, further cementing India as a production powerhouse. By year's end, up to 65% of US-sold iPhones might hail from India, a sign that Apple's supply chain is evolving at warp speed to stay ahead of trade wars. But Apple's not the only automaker feeling the heat. Let's see how Stellantis and other auto brands are navigating these challenges on their home turf. Number 1. Stellantis and the auto industry's tariff tightrope. In April 2025, Stellantis, maker of Chrysler, Jeep, Ram, and Dodge, announced the temporary layoff of 900 workers at 5 U.S. plants and halted production at facilities in Mexico and Canada. This was a direct reaction to the sudden 25% tariffs on imported vehicles, which made their North American manufacturing strategy financially unworkable. The United Auto Workers Union slammed these layoffs as the horrifying consequence of reckless tariff escalation, stressing that American workers were caught in a conflict they didn't create. Adding to the uncertainty, Stellantis pulled its full-year guidance, citing a 20% dip in North American sales and an unpredictable market outlook. Other automakers are also feeling the heat. Ford has offered employee pricing to jumpstart demand, while Nissan has paused U.S. orders for some Mexico-built SUVs, showcasing the broader industry's scramble to navigate a trade policy minefield. Verdict: shifting gears in a changing global marketplace. When you look at Shein and Temu scaling back, Apple's Indian ramp-up, or Alcoa's aluminum pivot to Europe, it's clear. Tariffs are rewriting the rules of the road. Companies are scrambling to stay competitive, tweaking supply chains, adjusting prices, and shifting production faster than ever. For everyday drivers and weekend warriors, this isn't just corporate maneuvering. It could mean steeper prices at the dealership, longer wait times for parts, and a fresh perspective on how much the global economy fuels what we drive. Now, let's hear from you. How do you see these global shifts impacting your vehicle choices or ownership costs? Have you noticed any parts or accessories becoming harder to find or pricier thanks to these tariff battles? And what's your take on how American companies are navigating this new landscape? Smart moves or short-term fixes? Drop your insights in the comments below, and let's keep this conversation rolling. Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to subscribe to Piston Pundit to stay on the pulse of the latest vehicle updates and auto industry twists. Until next time, stay passionate and keep those wheels turning. You can now check out any of the videos on the screen. There's plenty more to explore.